right, people. I have two of my brothers here. I will have them introduce themselves to you. Start to the closest to me.
My name is David Russell.
I am Tao Komloa, and I'm here to experience something new and hopefully learn from each other.
Yes, we are recording real late, past midnight, and so we are kind of sleepy, tired. But yeah, we are here at least to do a quick one. Hopefully, you guys for sure you can learn. Today, we'll talk about the experiences of our young men in elementary school or high school here in America. And both of these brothers went attended elementary school here as well as high school and on to college, but specifically want to focus on elementary school and high school, how the experiences are. Hoping that this information will help a parent somewhere or a young person, a young man, and to know how they can best maneuver high school experiences, despite the challenges that they may be facing. So, with quick introduction, they'll tell us where they went for school, and then we'll proceed from there.
Well, I went to school when I first came to the country. I went to school Warsaw Elementary. And then went to a charter school, and then I also went to Crosswood where I met this man here.
When I first came here, I went to Crosswood Middle School in 6th grade, and then went to East Campbell High School for 4 years, and then Hope College in Western.
And personally, I came here and studied college. I'm from Kenya originally, and where are you from, David, originally?
The original place is I'm from DRC, Congo.
DRC, Congo, Neti?
I was born in Liberia, but I grew up in Côte d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast.
Great. Yeah, we'll start from the, where T is, and maybe you can tell us about your elementary school or high school. Just anything that you think young people should know or parents should know who have like kids going to those level of education.
In middle school is different because I think if you are a parent or if you have siblings or friends that might have kids at the middle school is a critical stage where girls or boys begin to realize changes within their body. And so it is very important to be cautious in terms of approaching those kids, elaborating to them to understand, that these changes are normal, and then also to giving them the freedom to find new friends, discover new things. But the most important thing for me at that age was I always knew what I wanted. And so as a parent, you have to have conversations that is trustworthy, where your child is able to allow you into their thinking and then allow you to guide them to what you think would be best for them. So I think elementary is different, but middle school is where all the changes do take place when kids find new friends or especially in these days now where a lot of kids find a lot of new identity. But this is where we have important conversations in terms of where if you are a Christian, where your faith lies and how to help the kids guide them into the right path. And also allow the kids to speak to you with honesty so that you are able to help them fulfill what it is at that phase.
And what about you, David?
Well, view it like talking about the middle school process from 6th grade and all the way to 8th grade, and then crossing to high school. Middle school, where you view is like the place for you to go from elementary, where you are coming out adolescence, where you learn how to maneuver with life, and then middle school is where you're trying to find your common ground as a young person, and before you actually go to high school. And that way, you are around your own peers, and not only that, middle schools a place where you start facing peer pressure. You know, peer pressure comes with that, and not only that, finding your circle of friends, people you need to rely on or hang out with. And to me, my biggest challenge is when I had to move from one school to another school in the middle of the school year. And that was kind of challenging because all the people I already met, I left them behind. So I have to start it out over. So there are kids who will go through that. And especially like when you come to a new school, and majority of the kids now you are meeting are either they new to the country or they are new to the school as well. And the challenging thing is to know who you should trust. An example, when I first met T, it wasn't not even me who met him, because he was the principal who introduced me to T. Because the principal, he realized that, hey, there is this new kid I'm gonna have at my school. He also from Africa. And not only that, he just moved here in the middle of the school year, and he doesn't know anybody. And the only person I know who could, navigate to his level is T. So that was my first experiencing, and then meeting T, and, and then high school came.
Right.
And high school, that was like, a lot of us, we have the summertime. After 8th grade, we have the summertime to maneuver.
Yeah.
And in the summertime, it actually gave me, the people I met during the 8th grade year at the new school, I tend to gravitate to. The thing is, when you move yourself out of your own shell and realize maybe this will benefit you, but at the same time, parents, that's the other thing a lot of parents struggle with, is not able to understand their own children, like the environment, especially if you came from Africa and you come here, and not just Africa, just coming to U.S. in general, kid coming from Mexico, their first time in school, the parents are gonna have language deficiency, language is gonna be the struggle. Yeah, you may have the communication at home, but the teachers may give you kid a homework. How can you help your kid? You may be good at math, you may be good at reading. Some parents never had education. So to them, seeing their kids having education is a great thing, but they don't know how to help their own children. And I feel like the only thing like schools lack out, I wish they have programs once in a while to be able to invite the parents in to get into, interaction with their kids and to be able to see what their kids are learning. So that way when the kids are home, they know a way to be able to help their kids if they need to help them with math or reading or something like that.
Right.
Even though they might do it in their own language, but at the end of the day, they know they are involved in their kids' education.
Yeah.
One of the other struggle too that kids experience is, how do I choose and who do I choose, especially at the middle school, because when you leave elementary, I didn't experience elementary, but choosing the right friends who's gonna lead you, and also how do you deal with peer pressure, because most of especially when you are an athlete, or if you're not an athlete, how do you fit in with certain groups?
Right.
And so sometimes kid might face a backslash, or sometimes it might do certain things to fit in certain group, and so therefore having that transparency at home allows the kids to say, okay, I have a foundation that's already been built that I can live off on, in terms of when I go to school, am I representing
My
household, this specific characteristic that is interested in me to lay out. And if I do that, what examples am I setting? And so there are some challenges that people face, especially the one that are coming to a new environment. And so that new environment may be good for us, sometimes it might pollute us in a different way. And therefore, so having that honesty conversations at home with parents can help ease some of these transitions for the kids.
And I feel like too the big issue you see in a lot of migrants' homes is that a lot of parents put so much expectation on their kids.
Yeah.
They don't allow them to learn on their own. Like, it's good to have expectation. It's nothing bad about that.
Yeah.
But when you bring so much expectation, because you hoping, you want the best for your kid. No parent doesn't want the best for their child.
Yeah.
At the same time, I feel like when you come in this country, as a parent, you're expecting so much, and you put so much pressure on the kid, where the kid ended up breaking, to the point like they don't feel like comfortable.
Right.
They don't feel like, even if they weren't, it's not enough. Like, to them, they feel like, if I don't do this,
Yeah.
my parents gonna feel some type of way. Maybe I feel like the parents should have a common ground and a place to
Yeah.
say, hey, we meet right here. Those are things like a lot of parents, they don't take time to talk to their kids to try to see, hey, what do you think? Do you think I'm over pressuring you?
Right.
Based on how much education you need, because not every kid gonna become an athlete, not every kid gonna become a doctor, not every
Right.
kid gonna become a lawyer. But most parents, you're gonna put expectation on your kids.
Yeah.
At the same time, you gotta know when to push it and when not to push it.
Right.
And I feel a lot of migrant parents, they push it so hard where it breaks the kid's spirit to even want to learn. So when they go to school,
Yeah.
to them, they're away from home. So when they get to school, they mess up more, because like in school, it's like, oh, I'm away from all that.
Right.
Like someone pressing me, oh, did you do your homework?
Right.
Because they know if they get homework, they get home, their parents gonna be like, hey, do your homework, do this, do that, which is good. But if you able to navigate, to able to give your kids some freedom,
Yeah.
as well, to able to give them the knowledge, to able to understand, hey, sometimes you gotta work, you gotta pick up this and push yourself, because it's the only way. Because at the end of the day, I'm blessed to be here.
Yeah.
There's something like I feel parents don't pass on and be like, hey, I'm blessed to be here. And other issue with migrant parents when you come in this country is that a lot of them, they ended up working. And if you look, U.S., you have a very weird way of work schedules.
Yeah.
There are people who work night shifts. There are people who work day shift, or middle, work double shifts.
Yeah.
And those, when you are a kid in middle school, that's the point of view. Also, the kids gotta realize that, hey, my parents are working hard to provide a roof over my head,
Yeah.
provide electricity, to provide, pay the necessity for me to able to have the things I need, so I could focus on that. And it's something I feel like kids lack of appreciating,
Yeah.
because the parents are, trying to do their best. And so they miss on a lot of that stuff for you in school. So the idea of the child to be able to understand, hey, my parents are busy.
Right.
So I don't need to put any more pressure on them. If I have any kind of questions,
Yeah.
take up those programs. That's one thing so unique about school here in U.S.
Yes.
There are programs like after-school programs and stuff like that. That's when, like, parents and students need to be able to communicate and say, hey,
Yeah.
there is this program, and I know you're busy, you're gonna be at work, and they could help me work on my math, my reading, or anything, science, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be running late, so I might come out of school late. So that way the parents feel comfortable. They don't question you, where you been, and all that stuff. No, not knowing like, hey, I stay after school to be help on math or help on science.
Right.
So that's one thing so unique about the schools here in America, about the after school programs and stuff.
Let's say hypothetically with a family member who's working 2 jobs, who's not able to be home,
Yeah.
it could be difficult because they are not engaged within the child's study. And so it depends how they raise the child, and it could be detrimental to the growth of their education,
Yeah.
where to the point that the child might be filled in the class but doesn't necessarily understand how to pursue the after school study. Maybe it could be something the teacher might say, but due to maybe perhaps lack of language, right, or understanding or any comprehensions, when they get home, they don't know what to do, and there's no guardians at home.
Yeah.
Why? Because the mom has to go to work or dad has to go to work to put food on the table. So that's one that we who are not accustomed to the school system, because
Yeah.
each country has a different school system. And in the United States, students are held at a high expectation where there is a lot of materials that are being thrown at students
Right.
in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And if the student is motivated or the child is motivated, it becomes easier because then they are able to say, okay, let me ask my teacher prior to the end of the school day
Yeah.
that when I go home, I'm able to understand my assignment and do it. From my view, I always ask my teacher because I always want to get ahead of my learning growth.
Right.
Because I started school way super late. And therefore, for me, it was a motivation to catch up with my peers. And I will always spend at least 2 to 3 hours at the library
Right.
doing my assignment. If I don't have homework, I will either find a book to read prior to doing my normal activities such as hobby, going on the soccer field to play,
Right.
hanging out with friends, playing basketball. I always keep myself active instead of sitting home and doing unnecessary things such as, maybe playing video game,
Right.
watching TV, or watching a show, or whatever it is that could become a distraction.
Right.
And so when the parents are not home, it depends on what distraction that the child is involved in. It could be positive or it could be negative.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about you, David?
Honestly, what he just said, it's 100%. It's like every person on earth, it
Yeah.
just depends. Every child, it just depends. We all know science proving that for the growth of a child, you need parents, the guidance of a parent.
Yes.
And when you don't get that as much, kids tend to gravitate elsewhere to seek for that attention. And if you don't provide them positive attention, they will try to find it somewhere else, and sometimes ended up leading them in the wrong path.
Yeah.
So with school, when it comes to school, like what I mentioned before, there is a lot of activities for them, especially here in the States.
Yes.
Other thing is that when you have a motive as a child, it's like when you have a motive for yourself. And I feel like the thing I actually picked up so well, especially when I got in high school, was like be self-motivated.
Yeah.
Have the will to be able to ask questions. When you ask questions, you'll get answer.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
because any teacher you're gonna have, especially in U.S. I'm just gonna speak in on my own behalf. Like the teachers I had, they were great teachers throughout middle school and high school. It was like they wanted us to succeed and they wanted us to overcome our fear.
Yeah.
And not only that, like other thing is I noticed like they encourage students to make connections with other students. So in situation like where parents are not present, guess what? Those students who you are making friends with, they could actually help you in the long run. Because like an example, if me and T have same class, or he have, we taking same class, or he taking this class first hour and I'm taking the same class next hour.
Yes.
One thing I know, we're gonna share same material. So he could become my study buddy. So if I'm struggling with something,
Yes.
I have that connection to be able to say, hey, T, hit him up, I hit him up over the phone, or I go to his place, or he could come to my place. It's another way to actually help you when your parents are not involved.
Right.
So you have other avenue. So that's why, like earlier when we said, the people you meet along that journey
Yes.
are either they're there to help you or they're there to fail you. And most of the time, I'm not saying them failing in you.
Yeah.
It's you failing yourself because you're not vetting out
Right.
who you need to be present with. So you can't put all the pressure on the parents. Where I see where pressure comes on the parents
Yes.
is doing teachers and parents conference.
Yes.
Because sometimes the parents were not able to make it due to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so therefore now they're not updated on things. They're not able to speak to that child's teacher.
Yes.
I mean, their child's teacher and stuff to be able to get enough information to figure it out. Okay, where is my kid doing in your class? What can I do to help my child maintain while in your class? Those are things really are very important. So family teacher conference is a very important thing. Most of the time, people who come in this country, a lot of parents ended up missing those events.
Yes.
Which is, you know, I feel like schools should be able to have in advance ways to communicate. Sometimes they'll tell the kid, and if the kid, like what I said earlier, if the parents are the ones who push you so much, guess what? That child's not going to come home and tell you, hey, I got teachers conference, because
Yeah.
they already face that pressure at home.
Yes.
They don't want you to go to school with them
Yeah.
to you know. So that's when I feel like school need to step up and say, hey, I'm gonna start calling the parents. I'm gonna
Yes.
start emailing the parents. So that way the parents are the only ones who could be able to say, hey, I could come in or I cannot come in, or I'll send in somebody else on my behalf.
Yes.
That way they could get that information I needed. That way they could ask the questions I need to ask. So they could get enough to be able to find a way to help you as a student. Because there is no parent want their child to fail and no teacher want their student to fail.
Yes.
Every teacher is there to help. And they didn't choose teaching because they want you to fail. No, they chose teaching because they know if you succeed,
Yeah.
you're representing them.
That's correct.
You know, because every one of us have some kind of a fact from our past when we went to school. You could probably have maybe 15 or 20 teachers. Out of those 20 teachers, you might have 5 you were always going to talk about, always going to reflect to because how much they impacted your life. So those are the things, like the impact you receive is amazing. So kids, for them to grow, it's a process. And trust is another thing, like between parents and student and teacher. You know, the word trust is a big deal.
Let me intervene here quickly here, because what David says is if you are someone who studied philosophy or interested in philosophy, there's a guy named Aristotle, and he stated that we are what we repeatedly do, therefore accident is not an act, but it's a habit. So some of these things, or in doing those, if you create a habit for yourself, either leaving middle school to high school, or if you make a habit for your child within the home prior to the transitions from middle school, then it's not something that that you have to worry about as a parent, because you already built a foundation. So making those habits help the kid to understand how to act at all times when they are elsewhere besides being in the home.
Wow, awesome. That's really great insight. And I think for somebody who has never gone through that lower system of education, I think is things that personally is very informational, and that's why I needed you guys to come in and at least share, because I'm also learning a lot. So I also did one episode with a brother, Chris, and you guys know Chris, and in one of the things that he shared was about peer pressure, and he gave an example, and one of the things that he said was about dress code. Like there are some brands that kids elevated more than others.
No.
So like Chris was wearing like football shoes, and the kids were laughing at him, right? And then he realized that, oh, for you to be there, like you have to be wearing like brands like Nike, right? So that was then. Have you guys ever experienced something similar to that? Any sort of like peer pressure, and how did you handle it? And this would be the last question, and then we leave for the night.
I mean, every person goes through peer pressure. It's
Yeah.
how you handle it as a person. That's why I say it starts at home.
Yes.
And
But can you give us an example? I just want an example.
So my situationship is when it was in middle school before I actually moved to Crosswood.
Yes.
And that time, back in the day, we used to wear baggy pants, like very baggy. And I had a basketball jersey, and I remember like this kid, Ali.
You should say I, don't say we, because I never used to wear baggy pants.
I remember this kid named Ali came to me. We played basketball together, and the thing is, the first thing he said, man, you wearing, just a simple shoes, if you know Reeboks,
Yes.
the shoes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, so I have Reeboks for basketball shoes.
Yes.
And he kept making fun of me wearing Reeboks to go play basketball.
Yes.
But they did what I supposed to do. But one thing I embedded in myself, even though they were making fun of my Reeboks,
Yeah.
I literally put it in my mind like I don't really care. Because at the end of the day, I'm still hooping, I'm still making hoops, I'm still doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
It's not about the shoes.
Right.
So that was my mindset.
Yes.
To someone else now, if you think about, not everybody could handle that.
Yes.
If somebody's picking on you or pushing you buttons, some kids might lose it.
Yes.
So self-control is a big deal under peer pressure.
Absolutely,
So
yes.
to be able to self-control yourself, to be able to control your mind.
Yes.
And sometimes it's the best to just like take that situation and go along with it. Make it a joke.
Yes.
That's why like sometimes I make a joke about something or somebody make a joke about me and I just turn it into another joke.
Another joke.
Yeah,
Yes.
so the thing is, peer pressure is a part of life. Adults go through it,
Yeah.
kids go through it.
Yeah.
But one thing is to be able to learn how to control yourself, to be able to control your emotions.
Absolutely.
And I understand when you are so young at that age, you struggle how to control your emotions.
Yes.
And that starts at home too as well. How you home handle things. And if your home allows you to expose your emotions too much, sometimes that might be your weakness towards someone who's,
Yes.
trying to bully you or someone who's trying to pick on you, or someone who's trying to push you to do something you're not comfortable doing.
Right.
So, yeah, life is just a journey of, peer pressure.
Right.
And self-control is the only way you could defeat it.
Wow. No, I love that, like the aspect of self-control, because it's hard to please everybody, right?
100%.
You may be wearing this type of brand, and another kid prefers another type of brand. And then now we'll go to your experience. Do you have an example of a situation that you had to deal with?
Yeah, I will give you a poetic one, and then I'm going to explain what that means.
Yes.
Oh Lord, forgive me not if I whine. I am blessed indeed if the world was mine. So have I faced peer pressure? No. And I would say yes, but not when it comes to clothing. It has to do with my athleticism. I remember exactly, vividly, at 7th grade, when I first went out for the basketball tryout.
Yeah.
I knew I was not good at basketball, and the principal wanted me to play basketball so bad because I was a great student. I did not want to get in trouble. But then I have different shoes, and kids would look at my shoes sometimes, but I didn't really care because that's what I was able to afford. So knowing myself is like, that's not something that bugs me. But then being a great athlete on the soccer field is different than on the basketball court. And therefore, the kids that I've been playing basketball since at the elementary level were pretty good compared to me. And so at times when we line up in the lunch line to go get lunch, they will come and say, man, you can't even dribble.
Yeah.
You can't even shoot or make a layup. You be missing wide up layup.
Yeah.
And at that time, it got me frustrated because I
Yes.
know it's not my sport,
Yes.
but it's something that I was picking up.
Yes.
So it became a motivator factor for me to the point I was like, okay, this kid is talking too much. I think the best way to not try to be, rude about it, but I need to shut him down. And I knew in soccer I was good offensively and I was also good in defensively, and I knew I was quicker than him.
Yeah.
And so I asked the coach to play defense against him. His name is Jeff. Jeff was a little bit taller, a little bit bigger than me. But when we did 1v1 drill, he could not pass me or dribble me.
Yeah.
And besides me sitting on the bench doing games, the coach decided to stop me because of my defensive stand.
Right.
And since then, Jeff would never look at me again and say, "You are not good at basketball."
Right.
Why? Because I defend on myself, and I tell him that basketball is not my sport.
Yes.
Yes, I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
But if you are not going to accept the skills that I bring in the different sports, encourage me as a teammates, then maybe I need to find a different route. And my different route was to practice something that, that brought joy to me, which meant to go against someone that looked me down, instead of lifting me up. And so being an athlete is a motivation factor for me. So mine is different from David, where it could be clothing. Mine is always sports.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think those.
So,
yeah. Go ahead.
And therefore, that's what I said. Oh Lord, forgive me if I whine. Because when he was making fun of my basketball skills, I could have been whining and say, "Hey, that's not my sport."
Yeah.
See? And then I can say I am blessed indeed if the wealth was mine, which means I am able to control whatever sport or situation I am in.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I noticed is very poetic, so I'm glad you're explaining some of these, yes.
Yeah,
You had something to add, David?
I know, like what he said, like I think it was your second year playing basketball, yeah.
First time ever playing basketball.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was our second season playing basketball.
Second season,
Yes.
that's when I met T. So what he's saying is honest truth, because his defense, it was not much for nobody, like, as to me, it's like there are a lot of people
Yes.
who will go through things. And me, I was blessed to be able to start playing basketball. I was in elementary school. Even then, I wasn't, top notch.
Yeah.
Compared to kids who've been playing since they were like 5, 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, one thing I noticed with T was like, a lot of kids got salty doing trial, because like he made a team.
Yes.
And a lot of people, other kids might be salty because they work all their, childhood, wanting to make the middle school team, maybe the varsity team.
Yes.
But sometimes things don't go that way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's based on the character of who you are as a person, or, the effort. T had the effort.
Yes.
She have the energy, and that show like as a character. That's why like his story is a testament to any person. Like to start playing basketball that late, it takes a lot of courage.
Yes.
And as he said, his peer pressure was a principal. He's the one who got him to be able to play basketball.
Right.
So compared to me, I started playing the moment I was introduced to basketball in elementary school.
Right.
So he was able to overcome. And I remember T, like what he says, 100%. I could contest on that.
Right.
He struggled with shooting.
Yes.
He struggled with layups. But there were times he would hit a shot. It feels great because we as a team will be cheering him on because we know T.
Yeah.
When it comes to defense, he will get a ball.
Yeah.
So, like,
But not
peer
anymore,
pressure.
though. If you come to me now, I'm going to bury you in
He
basketball.
said, my name is Ben Waters, I'm Ben Waters.
Everybody come to me in basketball, even at this age.
Yes.
Yeah, it takes time,
So,
man.
All right.
Yeah, kids in America, if you come here as a parent with children and you want your kids to have a better education or have a wonderful experience at school here in U.S., the best thing is to encourage them, not to over push them, to encourage them. And not only that, also keep eyes on them in a way, because like the world we live in, especially here in US, you're gonna meet people.
All right.
You're gonna meet people either gonna influence you in a positive or gonna influence you in a negative. So how you walk is how you represent your family, your friends, your church, wherever you go in this life. You are molding yourself into a character, into a person, into someone who will later on be another influence to someone else.
Yes.
So you are being taught something to be able to pass it on to the next generation.
That's awesome. Yeah, so self-control is very important, and I think even that applies when you somebody gets to be an adult, and knowing like self-worth, like what what you are capable of. So even if somebody tried to put you down, you already know yourself and what you are capable of.
Yeah.
I think that's some of the lessons I've picked up from this. So I think we just needed to squeeze something. It's kind of really late in the morning.
Until we also tired too. We
And
could
very
work all day today. So
Yes.
if you see some of us sleeping, especially me, I'm not talking for myself. So
Yes,
if you want to see this episode again in the real daylight, just give it a thumbs up and then put a comment below.
Amen,
There you go.
amen. There you go. Yeah, it's
Always,
been
always. And
it's
if
been
I
a
have
long
to
day
travel back, I might.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
if you guys like it, and my goal, I'm glad he asked about us to do this because you came here for
Right.
college. You didn't have that experience
Right.
of elementary, middle school, high school. You had all that back home.
Right.
So education is completely different everywhere, every corner of this earth. And
Yeah.
here in America, they just have a system. It's unique in a way, and sometimes it's very challenging for those who not familiar with it.
Right.
So-
Right. Yeah, and our friend David here, we had to squeeze you in because you are leaving like tomorrow, or guess today.
Yeah.
So thanks
even
for
later on today.
accepting to come on in and tea. Yeah, again we had like a long day, did a lot of coaching.
Pretty easy.
So yeah, guys, again, we are here as immigrants from Africa, and how you can support this channel is liking, subscribing, sharing, and
Requesting.
requesting to be part of the conversation as well.
Yep, on podcasts or certain topics.
Yes, requesting. Yeah, exactly. Requesting certain topics. Then that way we can make a small haven right here in America for us as immigrants. The more we spread the message and educate our people, the better our kids can have a better life here, and also as parents can also have a easier time and a better life here. And so
And they can be well integrated within the society.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So please subscribe to the channel, follow, share, and like. Leave us a comment. That would be greatly appreciated. Again, T, thank you for coming. David, thank you for coming. And even it being last minute, really late, we should be sleeping, and especially after a long day we had. So thank you so much. And guys, thank you again for tuning in.